Hi, welcome back. So I wanted to record this video as one of my first topics I talk about this new year. Although I'm recording all of these sort of out of order, this one I believe needed to come out pretty quickly because I think it could help a lot of you. So I wanted to talk about tips that can improve your art skills this year. And I had been thinking about this for a few weeks because I really wanted to help. I think this topic can help a lot of people. So I'm going to be doing some gesture drawing while I talk about some of my art tips. And you can go ahead and take notes and watch me draw, or you can draw along with me. We're just going to fill it out. Today is doing warm-ups, so it's just gonna be how it turns out. No plans, head empty. Other than this topic, which I think is very important. So here's another thing. This doesn't have to be just to 2022. This isn't any time sensitive material. I think that these tips can always help you no matter when you start them, or when you have plans for improving your art. I think everyone who's an artist is typically pretty critical of themselves, so I'm sure everyone feels like they can always improve. But anyways, that is just my little opening thoughts, and I will get us started with our gesture drawings, and then I'll get started talking. Alright, let's do some 1 minutes. Very here, let me close some stuff so I have more room to see. Okay, cool. Okay, so my first biggest tip that I'd like to give you is to remember that everything happens, at its own time, and not to be super angry or judgmental with yourself about the process, especially if you're just starting out or if you're a young artist. Ooh, maybe I should turn that timer sound off. Let's turn that off. Okay. So, yeah. So, there is this phenomena where you might mentally progress in your art. So, like, let's say you're taking a class, or you watch a workshop, or you're just like observing art, like doing your own like research and studies, where you notice something that you're like, oh shoot, like I should implement that. Like, it could be as minor as like, oh, this line doesn't actually go here when I draw, it goes there. You know what I mean? Like in terms of anatomy. Or it could be like huge situations such as like color theory, and it's not like quite clicking properly yet. And so it'll take some time to actually, ooh, these are going so fast. It'll take some time to actually get your brain to realize how to do that with your hand. So it's a bit of like, hand-eye coordination type of situation going on. I'm going to extend these to 2 minutes really quick. So that's one thing that I'd need you to notice. However, here's my first thing to write on our whiteboard over here is you need to know how to set your goals to improve. You need to be specific with your goals. Okay, Here's a bad example. I want to get better at drawing. Okay, yeah, that's like a good thing to want, but you need to be more specific and be like, okay, I want to learn, I want to take a class, or I want to like study the anatomy of this, or I want to be able to edit a video in this style. You know what I mean? Like, you have to be finite. And it also is hard, in my opinion, to do goals that require like do X amount of times a week. So for example, like let's say you're interested in being a streamer. It's, in my opinion, hard to say I want to stream 3 times a week, versus the better way to set that goal, in my opinion, is I want to do 5 streams a month. So why that works for me personally is it allows for flexibility, and if you struggle with mental health or chronic illness and stuff like that, like you can't always count on, you know, being able to do that every single, let's say Monday, for example. What you can try to be in control of is like, oh, I have extra time, so let's do that now, right? And then the cool thing about that is you can like do minimum of 3 or 5 streams, but then you're like, you know, able to do much more if you feel motivated to, and that's like a good thing. But you shouldn't set your goals to the best of your abilities. You should be doing it. My bad for this. Censor that one. You should be setting your goals to realistic standards that it's achievable. Let me move my mic really quick. Okay, this will be better for all of us. So, anyways, like I was saying, your goals need to be extremely clear and achievable. The reason they need to be achievable is not just because you want to achieve them, but because if you make them unrealistic and try to be a crazy girl boss, it'll feel terrible when you don't do them. It's awesome to be ambitious, and I'm very ambitious myself, but it can backfire super hard if you are like cruel to yourself, you know? So just remember that when you're setting your goals. So the big takeaway is be very specific and try to make goals that you have control over. This applies for a lot of things in life too, so I've had it help me in other areas, like friendship and all that stuff. Let's go back and draw that drawing there. Yeah, okay. Let's see. Here's my next thing to write down. Here, hold on. The next point I'd like to talk about is always have multiple projects going on. There's pros and cons to this, and just be aware of being responsible with this one, opening a bunch of new projects. So here's the good and the bad. The good part of this goal is it will help when you feel uninspired to revisit some things and see like where you can move the needle on it forward. If that makes any sense. I think it does. I think it's, for me, I have like not ADHD but ADD. So I think this one helps me a lot because I can choose like which one I want to focus on, and it helps eliminate like staring at a blank page, so to speak, you know? But the danger about this one is it might be tempting to never get anything done. And here's where you're going to have to really sit down and decide which goals of yours to complete next to get you to the next level that you want to achieve. So if you're an independent artist and you're like trying to grow a following, maybe this means for you like starting a project that will connect with an audience and get you like a fan base or something, or like doing a zine so that you can make like fan art or like talk about a subject and reach that audience, you know. For me personally, I really wanted to make my own stories, and I got pretty sick of not having anything of my own to work on. It was really nice to like finally make it in the animation industry, and I realized that I never really draw anything for myself. It's always like fan art or client work or work for my studios. And so I was like, this next year I have like 2 different webtoons I was working on, webtoon ideas I was working on. And so I decided in 2022 I was going to finally put out my first webtoon. So that way I can tell my own stories and hopefully connect with other people that want to see these types of stories being told. So, you know, that's like my practical like application for this idea. The most important thing is that at some point, some of these things, when they're looking ripe, some of these goals, these projects, when they're looking ripe, it's notice and recognize when that's happening, and put some deadlines on and make it happen. I just want to warn you about the pitfall that can happen when you do have a lot of like projects, because I've definitely also let that happen. It's easy to, you know, be like scared of so many negative outcomes and just like continually like work on stuff that doesn't matter. Like I'm speaking from experience, okay? Like it's fun to draw pretty drawings. This is my own like realization. It's fun to draw pretty drawings, but at a point it comes to the expense of not drawing something that's not making something that's fulfilling to you and to the greater good, so to speak. I know that's a little fluffy, but I just think it's important for us to share our own unique viewpoints, because I think every single artist is important to this earth and important to this experience we have here, and with connecting to people. So anyways, I feel very passionate about this, as you can maybe tell. So yes, always have some projects to work on, but be specific about the checklist, but be flexible about the dates, as stated in the other topics that I've brought up. Yeah, because you don't want it to destroy your self-esteem when you can't finish things, and not everything is in your control. It's just life, baby. My next tip, if you don't already do this, if you're doing this with me, it makes sense that maybe you do, maybe you don't, but always do warm-ups. And I believe this has the potential to apply to a bunch of different mediums. I think the thread behind this thought, if I could put it in a general idea, is to just like mentally prepare yourself. But also when you're working with art, it's oftentimes a physical preparation. I often, when I'm giving people advice about being I don't know if productive is the word, but like this comes up when people ask me about like drawing every day and how I'm able to do that. And for the record, I don't always draw every day. There's times where I do like take breaks, but it's kind of rare. I feel like I'm like a little addicted to drawing. It's just kind of how I like process things and unwind. And it's not always like pretty drawing. Sometimes I'm literally like scribbling and like making weird like shapes and stuff. It just feels good. But yeah, anyways, so this idea comes up often when I'm talking about that kind of thing, and I think I compare it to like being an athlete. In my experience of like working out, and I wasn't great at sports, but I did do sports growing up. And some of the most important like things I've learned about like from that, which I guess was like a blessing in disguise, right? Because I hated sports, playing in them at least. Not all the time, but yeah. Anyways, some of the biggest takeaways were the fact that you needed to physically warm your muscles to get into the headspace to do it. And it's the same thing 100% for art. You need to spend some time before you do anything to get yourself in the right mood. I was gonna draw this guy, but I don't want to after all. We're just gonna draw the lady. Maybe another time. So yeah. Warm-ups, important. I feel like I could probably make a whole video about like sports analogies and stuff like that, such as like, you know, like doing leg day is like literally like doing leg day where you study the anatomy and do like the essential art vegetable homework, you know. Anyways, so that's that one. Let's pause here really quick and talk about our next topic. So this is a subtopic. Let's move some of this stuff around. Okay. Actually, we'll put it here. Okay. So, on to my next point, which is a subpoint. Your warm-ups matter. Did I spell that right? I don't know. They're important. What does that mean specifically? Well, the types of warm-ups you do are hugely influential to the type of work you're going to be doing for the day. And I believe I'm going to be making a video more specifically about what this means. But I just would like for you to start thinking about getting your hand and your brain mentally prepared for the type of work you're going to be doing for the day. So for me, as a storyboard artist, I often will do warm-ups, either studying like figures like I'm doing now. If I'm going to be doing like something dynamic, I might study martial artists instead. If I'm going to be doing a dramatic scene, sometimes I do like facial expressions. Or if I'm going to be like doing thumbnails, I'll do like cinematic like studies from film and just do them in like small rectangles. Yeah, I'd like to really get into the nitty-gritty about this subject, but consider trying to match up your warm-ups with the type of work that you have going on for that day or that session, even if it's just for like really quick style studies and all that stuff. Consider it. So my next point is to build and discover artistic lineage. Build and discover artistic lineage. So this is referring to doing style studies. But not only that, I think what I've noticed from other artists that I'm always impressed by is when they study from stuff I would have never noticed or realized. So, what I mean by this is some people who have like very unique art styles don't study from the stuff that everyone else is looking at. This is so important if you want to be like more original and have your own voice. It's cool like to study from contemporary artists because there's always something to be learned from everyone. But I'm always so impressed by people who have influences in, for example, like haute couture fashion or fine art. And I find their stuff to be super unique and like one of a kind. I noticed this a lot in art school. Whenever I hung out with my illustration design friends, so people who did more like editorial stuff, their art was so like unique and different from anything I'd ever seen, and which is a really cool thing about college is like being exposed to like a bunch of different stuff. But what I learned after a while was where they got all of that from. Like being able to have a unique voice and like subject matter I'd never seen before, or like penmanship and like colors and shapes and stuff like that. Like it was because they were looking at art and media that I had never seen before. And so it wasn't always like an illustrator they were inspired by. Like it was like objects and sculptures, stuff I'd never thought to look at. And I don't know if this is like public knowledge or anything, or if I heard this from a talk she did at my school, but an artist who really inspires me is Sun Min, and she has said before that she looks at fashion. So that's the kind of the person I was referring to, but she looks at like really avant-garde stuff and she pulls from that into her work. And after she said that, I went and I took a look back at the kind of stuff she does, and I could totally see it, that it was like just her, the way she thought about drawing was completely different because she had that different background. And I keep saying different, it's like, what is it different from? Well, a lot of like my animation peers would just, you know, stick to looking at animation. And I think if you just stick to one genre, you'll really, I mean, it'll really like be specific to that genre, which isn't a bad thing, but I think you can have a secret weapon of being well versed in a lot of things. So, you know, it's cool if you like get involved in like textile, sculptures, music even. Learn, involved and get interested in different things, and I think it'll make your illustrations and your animation art stand out in a great way. I really, like I said, I really admire it. So give that a try and learn how people outside of your discipline make their work. I'm going to take a short break. If you need to stretch a little bit, from doing these warm-ups with me, go ahead. If not, I will edit this video and we're gonna be right back. Alright, I am back. We are gonna draw this muscle lady and talk about my next topic, which is always have reference out. Always. This one is important to me again because to me it means not just having like a figure drawing reference out, although that's obviously very beneficial, as I'm sure you've heard before, but you should consider also having tons of inspiration out and anything that'll help you with your current objectives. So, for example, let's say you're doing something that's like a certain genre, like if you're like making a comic. This is something, again, I'm speaking from experience that I've done. And there are certain like plot points that you need to hit, and you know, it could be to your benefit to have something else out while you're drawing to reference. The way I've designed my workspace is that, I mean, maybe it's not to everyone's taste, like maybe other people would prefer like different things, but this is, you know, my advice, so I'll just tell you how I do it. I personally think that it helps me to have a lot of art around me that is inspiring. And to my last point, where you go outside of your niche, outside of like your contemporaries, like I have a lot of like non-animation art. I really love indie comics, so I have a lot of like artwork from indie comic people that I've collected. If you're a person who is motivated by emotion, you can always have pieces of art or like photos around you too that really might be able to influence you. So I have like a lot of pictures of my siblings and I, and you know, stuff that reminds me of like happy moments in my life, you know? So I think that can not only like help you with your art, but just like mentally to be surrounded by things that make you happy and inspired are definitely helpful. The cool thing about this is I feel like it's like a subliminal messaging type of hack to have like art around you that you want to like achieve, like a style or like a standard, you know? So let's see, I'm looking around. I have some portraits that I really love. I have some illustrations from Stevie Warvola that really inspire me, and I have a few Tomie and Miyazaki drawings as well. You know, this kind of stuff like reminds me of those stories subconsciously and those people, and they this should be like so specific to you that, you know, it just should make sense, if that makes sense. And, you know, don't feel like you need to have certain things up. Like, don't feel pressured to, you know, if everyone loves this, then you gotta have this up. Which is, you know, whatever's. If it specifically influences you, have it. So I'm going to be finishing up this video very soon. Let's just wind down a bit with this portrait and talk about maybe some other things that you could do while we revisit some of these points I've talked about today. So, above all, I'm really proud of you for wanting to improve your art this year. I think even having that mindset and being optimistic is going to get you there. It's half the journey. If you believe that you can achieve your goals, you'll definitely achieve them. Much quicker or with more success than if you were to say, I don't think I could do it. Because the moment you believe that you can do it, then you're going to start, you know, doing the things necessary to get to there. And yeah, there are some very unfair roadblocks that might be ahead of you. So that's why it's really important to just be like easy with yourself and just know that things will happen in its own time with the right people, the right places. I've had so much heartache in my life from holding myself to a crazy high standard or like thinking that I needed to achieve something at a certain time. And you know what? There is no right or wrong time for something to happen in your artistic journey. Just keep practicing, keep setting some goals, and have a thorough checklist. Be specific with what you'd like to achieve. I think that'll all end up helping you in the end. Surround yourself with some positive people who will support you and help you through this. If your family isn't being supportive of what you want to do, then there's plenty of people online who you can connect with that'll understand where you're coming from and will be willing to support you, you know? And I hope you can also find people out there who inspire you that you want to help along in other people's journey. I think that's what's really can be really cool about the art community is how supportive it can be, and just stick by those supportive people. Leave the rest behind. Mind your business. Do your thing. Let me know what some of your goals are for this year. And I'll wrap this video up soon, and I'm looking forward to talking with you in the comments. Let me know what other videos you'd like to see from me this year. Like I said at the top of the video, I have a bunch I've already recorded and planning to upload. Right now my schedule is every other week, but maybe we could ramp it up if I have a bunch of stuff ready to go. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. Thank you so much for listening to this video. I hope I've been helpful, either in just reminding you or sharing some new things that you hadn't thought about or heard before. Yeah, I'm excited for you, and I can't wait to see you improve this year and all that fun stuff. All right. Thank you for watching. Stay creative and keep drawing.